Have you ever been chased before? A lot of times that we've been chased, it's usually in our backyard when we're playing with friends or we're at school during recess playing with our friends and you're playing a game of tag and someone's trying to chase you and tag you. Well, in this story today we're going to look at is we're going to see that the Israelites have been chased and are actually being chased at this moment. And they come up to a situation where it seems almost impossible to think, how are they going to get out of this one? Kind of like when you've been chased into a corner, you're like, how am I going to get out of here? What am I going to do? Well, I want you to read this story and answer these few questions. I want you to see how the Israelites encountered this situation and what happened from it. Okay, so pause the video right now, answer these few questions, and when you're done, press play and we'll continue from there. Okay, so long story short, the Israelites, after 400 years of being slaves to the Egyptians, have been freed. There was tons of plagues and all this crazy stuff that happened to the Egyptians that caused the Egyptians to say, you know what, Israel, get out of here. We're tired of this. We don't want any more of these plagues to happen. Get out and leave us. And God had done a great work there. So they left. Israel left the Egyptians. But then after a little bit of time, the Egyptians thought, I don't like this anymore. We don't have any more slaves. We need to get our slaves back. So they started chasing after the Israelites. And all throughout the time they were chasing the Israelites, God had been with them and God had provided for them in different ways. However, they came upon the Red Sea. And the Red Sea, there was no bridge there. And they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they were getting actually really kind of upset. They're like, why did we come all the way out here just to die? And so at that moment, God did another great act. And God actually separated the Red Sea into half. Like that had never happened before until today. God provided a pathway between the water for them to go through from one side to the other. And so they crossed over it. And then when the Egyptians tried to follow them in that same path, God had actually collapsed the water and it swallowed up the Egyptians and they all drowned. And the Israelites were saved. Hey, the bottom line of today's story is you can do what you should even when things seem impossible. And by doing what they should, they had to trust God. They had to trust and believe that God was going to help them through it. It seemed like an impossible situation, but by trusting God and relying on Him to do a great work, God did a great work and where they were able to be saved. So again, you can do what you should. You can trust God even when things seem impossible. There are a lot of times that there are going to be impossible situations in our lives that we think they're impossible. But what we need to do then is to ask God for help. Ask Him to guide us. Ask Him to direct us. Ask Him to help us. And He will provide a path for us to go through. So I hope that the next time you face an impossible situation, you trust God and allow Him to do a great work. Hey, and if you've already got a great story about how God has helped you in an impossible situation, I would love to hear it. Put it in the comment section below and you can share it with us today. Okay, so as we wrap up, I want to look at the Bible verse we've been looking at for the past few weeks. Do you remember what it is? It's Joshua 1:9. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go. God is with us. Even in impossible situations, God is with us. Let's trust Him this week and see what He does. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you next week with a whole new story. Have a great week, everyone.